So, you know the feeling, right? You get this brilliant $1 million movie idea, and you're absolutely buzzing. You scribble it down on a napkin, maybe record a super enthusiastic voice memo, and then you look at it 3 days later and think, wait, what is this? Look, it happens all the time. A raw idea, no matter how exciting or how vibrant it feels in your head, is actually not a film.
Well, welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to focus on exactly where great films actually begin. We are talking about development. It's absolutely crucial, the literal first step for any serious storyteller. And honestly, skipping it, that's the #1 reason why so many incredible ideas never actually make it to the screen.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with where every film begins, move into the concept of development, and then break down 5 key questions you need to ask. After that, we'll look at a quick case study called The Shepherd, and finally, wrap up with common beginner mistakes.
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, where every film begins. When you look at the standard 6-part filmmaking workflow, everybody loves to talk about production. The cameras, the lights, yelling action. But that's actually step 4. The vital bridge happens way back in step 2, development. Without it, sure, you have an idea, but you're basically jumping into the deep end without knowing how to swim. Moving right along to Section 2, the concept of development and how we turn ideas into stories. I know the word development kind of sounds like a dry, corporate, administrative term, but in reality, it's a highly creative, super dynamic phase. It is the active, hands-on process of transforming your simple idea into a clear, meaningful, and most importantly, producible story. It's your creative testing ground. Think of development kind of like planting a seed. Your raw idea has massive potential, for sure. But a seed needs care, it needs time, and it needs the right environment to sprout into a strong tree. I mean, you can't just throw a seed on concrete and expect a giant oak to pop up. Development provides the water, the sunlight, and the rich soil you need to get to that final film.
This brings us to Section 3, 5 questions for every story during development. So, how do professionals actually provide that water and sunlight? Well, they ask very specific questions before spending a dime. Question 1 is, what is the central idea of your project? I know, it sounds almost too basic, but you would be totally shocked at how many people start writing a script without knowing what their core idea actually is. And the origins of that idea? They can come from literally anywhere: a personal experience, a historical event, maybe a newspaper article you skimmed over coffee. It could be a totally random conversation you overheard, a dream, an old photograph, or a pressing social issue. Your goal right now isn't to find the perfect, flawless idea immediately. It's simply to find a seed that's actually worth exploring. Once you've got that seed, you move to the second question. Why does this story matter? You really have to ask yourself, why should anyone give up 2 hours of their life to watch your film? Every single strong film out there has an underlying purpose. If you, the creator, don't know why it matters, your audience certainly isn't going to care either. So what is it? Are you trying to entertain the viewer and provide a really great escape from reality? Are you trying to teach them something new? Maybe you want to inspire change around a critical social issue or preserve a fading culture. Whatever it is, your story needs a fundamental, driving reason to exist. Which leads us to question 3. Who is the audience? A lot of passionate beginners love to say, oh, my film is for everyone. But professional filmmakers know the hard truth. If you make a film for everyone, you make a film for no one. You have to be laser specific about who is going to be sitting in that theater or on that couch. Because your audience dictates absolutely the whole shebang. They dictate the storytelling style, the specific language you use, the pacing, the visuals, and the overall emotional tone. A vibrant children's animation and a gritty, boots-on-the-ground investigative documentary speak to very different demographics. Every single creative choice you make has to serve that specific viewer. Okay, question 4. Is research needed? And spoiler alert, the answer is almost always yes. This is how you really begin to water that idea we talked about and help it grow into something substantial and real. Consider the difference in genres for a second. In documentaries, research ensures absolute accuracy. You literally need the cold, hard facts. But in fiction, research is just as vital because it makes imaginary worlds feel believable. Whether it's a gritty historical drama set in the 1800s or a massive sci-fi epic on Mars, doing deep research is what builds trust with your audience. And finally, we hit question 5. This is the ultimate reality check. Can this film actually be made? We really have to ground this beautiful, free-flowing creative process in hard reality. You need to pass some very practical checks here. Do you actually have access to the locations you need? Can you find the right actors? Is your budget realistic? Or are you writing a multi-million-dollar helicopter explosion on a $0 budget? Ultimately, can you finish it? A fantastic idea is, unfortunately, completely useless if it's fundamentally unachievable.
Let's look at Section 4, Case Study on a Project Called The Shepherd.
Let's put this whole framework into practice so you can see the actual return on investment here. You might start with a raw idea, something like, an elderly shepherd refuses to leave his mountain village. Okay, it's an okay start, it's a seed, but by asking those 5 questions, doing the research, and conducting real local interviews, you find the actual emotional conflict. You identify the target audience. Suddenly, it's no longer just a passing thought. It has evolved into a profound, highly producible story.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, Common Beginner Mistakes. It is incredibly easy to get this all wrong if you rush it and try to skip straight to the fun of production. Here are the biggest traps we see. First, falling head over heels in love with the very first idea that pops into your head. Actually, professionals explore multiple possibilities. Second, skipping the research because, well, it feels too much like homework. And third, confusing a basic idea with a complete story. A really cool sentence written on a napkin is not a ready-to-shoot script, guys. It really all comes down to 2 paths. The amateur takes a great idea and just rushes straight to filming, which, let's be honest, almost always results in a weak, confusing story. The professional, on the other hand, takes that exact same great idea, but they research and refine it. It's a methodical, grounded approach, and it naturally yields a clear story and a significantly better film every single time. I want to leave you with this really powerful professional insight to wrap up our explainer today. The quality of a film is often determined long before the camera starts rolling. It is absolutely true. The heavy lifting, the real architecture of your success happens right here in the development phase. So I'll leave you with this question to ponder. Are you ready to put in the real work and properly develop your next great idea? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.